It's a big year for Penn State coming up. They have their sights set on a national title, and our Michigan State Spartans, well, hey, could they actually stun the world and have this be the marquee win of the Jonathan Smith era? Hey, let's find out.
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Spartan friends, Spartan family, and we are nation. That's right. Hey, I come in peace with Penn State. I've never had any issues with you guys over there. Hey, welcome to a crossover episode of Locked On Spartans, of Locked On Nittany Lions. What's up, everyone? I'm Matt Sheehan, and over there, that's right, that strapping gentleman, that is Zach Sako over at Locked On Nittany Lions. Now, Zach, little project that we've been working on over here in East Lansing so far this offseason is week by week, I'm taking a way too early look at Michigan State's schedule, going through the opponents, how they got better, what the stakes of this game will be, all this and that. But let's fast forward to this November date here. It's near the end of the season, and let's just go into your shoes right here, Zach, because, hey, your Nittany Lions, it's going to be an interesting lead up to this game here, actually, because it is, the bye week after your Iowa game. Then it's at Ohio State. It is home against this great Indiana team out of nowhere, and then you are back on the road at Michigan State. Zach, could this be a trap game in any sense of the word here? And look, full transparency. This is saying right now the numbers over at the S&P Plus are saying that this could be a 24-point spread. I'm not going to come on here defiantly and say you guys are an upset alert. We are going to beat you. But truly, is there any iota of you that is seeing this game and being like, oh, this is a little trappy because you guys had some dicey games, especially last year, that USC game last year. I think that was a surprise for many. Great game, by the way. And then even the Minnesota game last year, you guys beat them by 1. Could this be this kind of sneaky trap game, or are you just already looking to the next week, which would be home against Nebraska for you guys?
Well, and that's just it, right? That's kind of the definition of a trap game where you're going through this streak of tough games, right? Ohio State's before that one, and then after that, and Indiana's kind of in that trap game category as well.
Certainly.
And Nebraska might be better than general expectations. So with the Michigan State game sandwiched in there, there's a classic, overlook spot, if you will, at that point in time. I'm not overly concerned about this Michigan State team, but I will say that, I do have all of the respect for Jonathan Smith. I think he's one of the best coaches in the nation. I think he's severely underrated, let's put it that way, but it is an uphill battle. They just need to give him time in East Lansing. Penn State hasn't played the best in East Lansing recently. That has been going on the road to Michigan State has not been favorable over the past 5 years or so. For Penn State, they've lost games that they shouldn't there when they've been favorites. So recency bias says that Penn State doesn't do well out in Sparty. And this is a team that I would rather play earlier in the season than later in the season. So with Aiden, Chiles and Nick Marsh, you have a good foundation with just those two players alone.
Right.
And with the turnover that this team had with offense and defense, I'm explaining Michigan State to you, right? You know all of this, but this is how I see it, that this team's only going to get better as the season goes along. So if Michigan State happens to be hitting its stride later in the season, and if Penn State takes some licks, bumps and bruises towards the end, this is a game that maybe Michigan State should at least be thought of, hey, instead of 24 points, maybe this is a 14 to 17 point game.
And that's why they play the games on Saturdays, right? Look, I'm not going to defiantly come on here and saying that, yes, we are for sure going to win this game. But that is some of the mystery as we get deeper and deeper into these way too early previews is, hey, talking about the stakes of these games early in the season, like when we're playing Boston College, when we're taking on USC, you can kind of figure what the expectations and the stakes can be for that game. But once you throw injuries, once you, maybe discover some unknowns, like maybe Michigan State, their secondary overhaul does actually work. Maybe they can be a plus defense in the Big Ten. Hey, maybe for the first time in a long time, we actually do have someone that can rush the passer. It's all the unknown here, but something that I do feel confident in right now is that I think that there will be steps forward taken from Michigan State on the offensive side of the ball here. The defense, Whole laundry list of question marks here. Who's going to rush the passer? Secondary? Will the new linebacker core look solid? Who knows? But they've bolstered the offensive line. You just said it. Nick, Marsh, Aiden, Chiles, if they can click, and not just them, but also transfer wide receiver that we're hearing a lot of rave reviews about, Amari Kelly, Christian McCray. I think there's reason to believe that this could be a solid offense this year. Now, hear what I'm saying. I'm saying solid offense. I'm not saying top 3 in the Big Ten. Zach, I'm just hoping to see this offense score more than 20 points per game for the first time in 3 seasons. So, I think the offense can hold their end of the bargain here. But what's working for Michigan State in this game, too, another, something that's not even going to be between the sidelines, is Michigan State's coming off a bye week for this one. So, nice little relaxation period. You kind of reset yourself. You set your sights on what will be a marquee win. Because this is what Michigan State needs, man. I mean, the last 3 seasons, they only have one top 25 win, and even all those games outside of that one win against Illinois a few years ago, we've been getting clobbered against some top 25 teams. So can they make it close? I hate to have this conversation already say, hey, this would be a moral victory if you could just keep it close against Penn State. But that's the matter of fact of this conversation. One has their eyes set on a national title, and anything else might seem like a disappointment. Whereas we're just looking for any sort of momentum to go forward here in the Jonathan Smith era. So, hey, that's the fact of the matter. That's where we're both at as 2 programs. But am I right? Does that seem correct? Are you in the camp of it's national title or bust for Penn State? Or do you have more, nuance to that conversation here, Zach? Where's your head at?
No, I've been pounding that drum.
I think how can you not? How can you not? I mean, yeah.
When I say it's national title or bust, that doesn't mean overhaul the program. It just means that if you don't win a national title, how much closer are you going to get for the foreseeable future? I'm not saying that it's downright impossible, but next year you're going to take a significant step back. 2027, do you know? It's the stars are aligning where Penn State is as strong as it is, and the competition. Ohio State's not in a rebuilding phase, but you're breaking in a new quarterback, you're a new offensive coordinator, different defensive coordinator, right? It's all those things. Michigan, true freshman quarterback. USC still kind of building itself up. Penn State has Oregon's in the same situation, new starting quarterback. So Penn State has no reason to not be the favorite in this situation. And so when you have other programs like Maryland could be in an intense rebuild, Michigan State's in the process of an intense rebuild. All of the things are aligning for Penn State where they should be the favorite within the conference. The only team that I look at outside is probably Texas and Clemson as those teams that are really the most complete. So my 3 favorites for a national championship or to be the closest to it are in no particular order, but Penn State, Texas, and Clemson.
That's fair. That's fair. And, look, I want to get into your whole offseason, too, because you guys didn't bring in a ton of transfers, but is that just because you didn't have to? We'll get to all that and a ton more. First, guys, need to talk everyone's ears off about Gametime. That's right, the greatest ticketing app out there, because if you just decided last minute, you wake up, the sun is shining, and you're saying to yourself, oh my God, I need to get to this baseball game right down the street right now. Maybe it's at Comerica Park if you're a little Detroit Tiger fan like myself. Because I've done this, Zach. I have actually just spur of the moment said, hey, you know what? We're going to go to this game, but it might be a little too late to save on tickets, except that is where Gametime comes in right there. They can save you great money on great seats up until the first pitch, guys. Even a little bit after the first pitch, I've lucked out on a few of those tickets. Now, it is so simple with Gametime. This isn't one of these apps where, okay, it's 17 clicks later, and oh my God, where do these $85 fees come from? No, Zach, it is 2 taps on your phone. It is the upfront cost of what you will pay. There is no surprise, no mystery with Gametime. They make it so simple you almost can't believe it. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, guys, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Gametime app today. It's last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Now, like I hinted at a little bit ago, you go through the transfer portal team rankings. Now, Penn State, they are buried. They are 15th in the Big Ten for the transfer portal overhaul. Wasn't really a big number, but is this just a case of you guys didn't have too many holes that you had to fill, and that's why the ranking was so low? You guys are just already strapped with talent? Or did the offseason actually leave a little bit to be desired in the transfer portal, Zach?
Well, and that's where I get to be on my high horse in this situation and say that Penn State was in an excellent spot with roster retention.
Figured.
Bringing quarterback, two superstar running backs back.
Yeah.
The offensive line, 80% of the starting offensive line, they're only losing one starting guard. And in theory, you could say that they have 100% back because they had co-starters at right tackle in a sense, and they might play both of them. So you have somewhere 80 to 100% of the offensive line. You get defensive players back. So they made selective upgrades with guys that were in the portal, which were really uncharacteristic for Penn State. They usually don't go play that free agency. And this time around they did, because no matter what the naysayers would say about, hey, for Penn State, this isn't really championship or bust. This is obviously an important season, but they all are, right? It goes along with that 1-0 mentality. Then why is Penn State breaking the bank for the best available transfers at positions of need? They have never done that.
Sure.
And they would never think of doing that, but this time they did. They opened up the checkbooks to make sure that they went and got priority players in the spring transfer portal window at wide receiver and linebacker, because those were needs, because they understand if this was going into 2026, maybe they get one player or so, or maybe they spend a little more for that guy that says, okay, long term we can build with this player. No, this is a 1-year rental, if you will, right, with Trevor Pena. And the alleged amount of NIL money that he was asking for and everything, that's not something that Penn State normally does there. So they were selected, but they were winners in that transfer portal window, even though the rankings might say otherwise. Matt, I want to throw it back to you, because Penn State wouldn't need wide receivers if they were able to beat Michigan State for that recruitment and Nick Marsh. And this is why this game is so enticing to me, because I get to see more of what Nick Marsh brings to the football field, because this guy was exceptional as a true freshman. I think injuries kept him out of the lineup for a little bit, if I'm not mistaken.
Up and down throughout the year. Yeah, you're right.
So he was never truly 100%, but when he is at his best, I mean, this guy is, I would say, one of the best in the Big Ten. Jeremiah Smith's taken that, obviously.
Yeah, unfortunately so, right?
Nick Marsh could make the case to be the number 2 wide receiver in the Big Ten behind Jeremiah Smith. I am willing to plant my flag on that. I'm
glad you agree with that, because I'm seeing some of these like preseason all Big Ten teams, and he's like on the, third team wide receiver. He's like the 9th or 10th best wide receiver. And I'm asking myself, okay, thank you. I feel like I'm justified now, because I started to wonder, am I just like this little slappy Sparty over here that just loves my guys? I know, right? Like, I'm just getting too caught up in my guys being so good, but maybe it's because I actually did watch Michigan State versus Maryland last year, and who else in their right mind would actually watch that game? Maybe that's
a sicko game.
You know what? Like, this is a friends and family of the players only kind of game, you know, or like the Iowa game, Michigan State, Iowa. Like, hey, you know, if you really, 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 really love college football, hey, maybe you saw that game. But outside of, you know, the diehard Hawkeye and Spartan fans, maybe you didn't see that game. And if you didn't see those games, well, you missed greatness. Now, just like you said, it was up and down during the entire season, but you can't beat his speed. You can't beat his size and physicality. His route running is only going to get better from here on out. Look, Michigan State, they are starved for NFL talent. This is one of the many reasons why it's been a 3-year bowl-less stretch for our Spartans. I could go on and on about all the other reasons, but one of them, Zach, you probably know this, it helps to have NFL-level talent on your roster, and it lies right here with Nick Marsh. It can with Aiden Chiles. He certainly has shown the potential for that. If this could all work in harmony together, yes, this is going to give Michigan State a fighting chance to finally snowball some momentum forward here in the Jonathan Smith era. So, look, we don't have a ton of recruiting wins that are against top-flight programs. A lot of these battles that we are in right now are against, hey, we beat Cincinnati for a recruit. You know, that's right, suck it, Bearcats. But no, this is one of the few that, hey, you actually beat a top-flight program for this player. Now go ahead and get all the juice out of that orange that you possibly can. And I really hope they can with Nick Marsh. Everything we're seeing and hearing is that, yeah, he's had a really productive offseason. He's ready to rock and roll into 2025. Let's see it. Let's just please see it. So,
and that battle between him and A.J. Harris, I think, is going to be one of the deciding factors in this game, if it's close or if it's a blowout, because I'm eager to see if Penn State just puts A.J. Harris on an island with Nick Marsh, or if they decide, hey, let's shade a safety over, or let's, play some press cover. Like I said, you're just going to shade the safety. Maybe you shade the linebacker inside a little bit on, just to kind of take away that inside leverage. But like I said, That was a player when he was a recruit. Penn State was not happy about losing that recruiting battle. I know for a fact that they wanted him above all else, and with the changes in coaching staff, that there was maybe a window of opportunity, and Nick Marsh still stayed pledged to what Michigan State was offering. So
thank God.
Thank
God.
and sometimes you just have to identify those, and that's what Penn State did, right? They built around players that are just all in on the program, and I see that with what at least Michigan State, if you want to salvage anything about them right now, where Penn State does that with Drew Allar and Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen, deny Dennis Sutton. Michigan State may not have that quantity, but you have a player that is just like, okay, he wants to be here. He is committed above all else, and then that's only going to at least create a foundation and maybe attract other players who would want to do the same thing.
Yeah, it sounds so silly. We actually just did an episode about this yesterday with Ryan Herons of Locked On Badgers, because they're in a similar spot that we are right now. They're trying to get out of the dirt. And it's funny, like, obviously you want talent. Like, talent reigns supreme in a way, but you also need a culture. And that's what Jonathan Smith is trying to reestablish here in East Lansing. Like, and you could see it with his recruiting. Only going into battles with, prospects that he thinks he can win. And also that once they commit, they stay committed. They want to be at the certain program. They're not just going to, go flying out for the next big check, because you do need continuity in college football you're, especially in this era too. So yes, you need talent, you need NFL talent, but also you do need that subsect of guys too that could build a culture. And with Nick Marsh right now, it looks like the best of both worlds with that too. So it's interesting that, you brought up the defense, because I did want to get into that portion too, because just from the outside looking in, we know Penn State's offense can be productive. You have those two superstar running backs. Yeah. You have Drew Allar. You went out and got Penn out of the transfer portal. But the last time that us Spartan fans saw Penn State's defense, it was Manny Diaz just dialing up an all-out blitz against our fifth-string quarterback in Ford Field. Rest in peace, Andrew Skofar, for that one. But can the defense be as strong, if not stronger than the offense, or are they going to take a little bit of a step back from the offense, or just how confident are you with that side of the ball here?
So Penn State's defense, they go and get Jim Knowles, right?
It's not too shabby. That is not too shabby.
You go from Manny Diaz to Tom Allen to Jim Knowles, who is arguably the best defensive coordinator right now in college football, conservatively top 5. And Ohio State fans or people that cover Ohio State, Jim Knowles' defense takes a long time to learn, and I'm probably going to do a follow-up show on this because I've talked about it passingly, but I haven't devoted actual content to it. And it's, Penn State's been adapting to Jim Knowles' defense for the past few seasons, where when he took over Ohio State, that was a top 50 group. And that was an actual rebuild, whereas this is a reload. You have the talent. You have guys that have been working with a Jim Knowles-like system for the past couple of years. So are there gonna be some hiccups? Absolutely, because it is a slight regime change. Okay, you are going from the nuances of Tom Allen and Manny Diaz to 1 year of Tom Allen, right? So there are players that have played for Manny Diaz, Tom Allen, and now Jim Knowles in 3 consecutive years. You are going to have to, again, you're relearning the playbook, relearning the lingo, all of that stuff. You have to build chemistry and a rapport with it. But Jim Knowles has been doing this for so long. Yeah. He's not inheriting a top 50 group. He's inheriting a consistent top 10 defense. So are there going to be some issues, some small ones? Absolutely. But big, overarching problems with the defense? No. The defense will be around that top 10, top 15. I don't think it's going to be number 1 like Ohio State's was last year, but it would shock me if they're anywhere outside of the top 10. I'll even go a little bit further, top 15. That would absolutely surprise me.
Like losing Abdul Carter, that's just, good for him, but we're just ready to rock and roll.
You got deny Dennis Sutton, who could be a first-round NFL draft pick, right?
Not too shabby. Not a bad spot to be in for you guys. Look at that. Can I do something really quick here on the other side of this break that might upset your fan base? I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth, but we'll see how this goes here. Is that going to be okay?
Are you alluding to Drew Allar? Where are we taking this?
No, this is more so of the over-under for your team here.
We can talk quarterbacks too. Might as well.
I'm down for that. Why not? I got the time today, so yeah, let's get it popping right after this little message from Monarch Money. Who's taking the ball in this one, Zach? Is this you or me? I already forgot what we agreed upon before the show here.
I'm going to pick up Monarch Money here.
Okay, this is good hosting from me. So sorry about that, but there we go. Perfect.
Awesome sponsor here is Monarch Money is the sponsor of today's crossover episode. Do you ever wish managing your money felt easier? Well, with Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. And I think that's the best part of it, because when you're spending and you'll have subscriptions, or you might tons of package deliveries or dining out, you can see all of those things with Monarch Money. And if you manage finances with a partner, Monarch Money is able to help with that too. So you can track all of those joint accounts, joint investments, everything that you do when it comes to managing money with your partner. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. That's what Monarch Money does. It gives you control. Use Locked On College at monarchmoney.com for, get this, 50% off your first year. That's right, 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com. Code Locked On College for half off your first year.
This over-under, Zach, because it's a high one for you guys. We're looking at 10.5 right now. And before I go on to, why I'm just a hater and a doubter, let me talk out of the other side of my mouth, because I do think Penn State's great. Like, I think you guys can win the Big Ten. I think you guys can obviously win the national championship. You guys are one of the top 3 teams in this nation. But here's why I'm thinking maybe under 10.5. Still making the playoff. 10-2 gets you in the door. Can still get you in the Big Ten championship game. Ohio State did indeed do it. People forget this, Zach. Yeah. But look, hey, you know what? The non-conference schedule, very friendly. That is a handshake start to the season. It's Nevada, Florida International. And then I always remember Villanova has a football team every 3 years because you guys play them. It's very fun. And then it's a bye week, and then it's home against Oregon. I'm not so concerned about the home against Oregon game as much as I am. This might sound weird, but immediately on the road at UCLA right after, maybe a little letdown spot for you guys. And then it's a handshake home against Northwestern. You guys are at Iowa. Never a friendly atmosphere to go into there. Then it is at Ohio State after a bye week. It's home against Indiana, who, again, can be a letdown trap game after a game against the Buckeyes. Again, I want to just scream this from the mountaintops. I'm a Penn State believer. I think you guys are a very good team. I will probably have picked you guys to win the national title, but maybe just like Ohio State, like you mentioned, at a 10-2 stretch, just because, yes, tough opponents like Oregon, like Ohio State, but ooh boy, just those trappy little games right after that. Am I an idiot, Zach? You could call me that. I won't not take offense. I think we've talked enough to, just have a little friendship between the two of us. I could take it. Or are you going to defy the odds and agree with me here? What are you going to go with?
So, funny enough, I already did a show on the win total, and I'll probably do another follow-up show again. I think 10.5 is sharp. It's a
juicy number. Yeah.
It's right there at, they could go 11-1 with the game to Ohio State. Or if you're a James Franklin a hater, you believe that this team is perennially 10-2 every single year, then under 10.5 looks fantastic to you, because they can't win the big game. So therefore, Ohio State and Oregon, you might as well write them in permanent marker that they're going to lose that game. But that's the thing though with Penn State. It's not about the big game. That's kind of the misconception here. Okay. Penn State loses the games that it should. Every game that Penn State has been an underdog in, or has been, let me clarify, has been, because, I guess you could say it that way too. Every game that Penn State has been a favorite in, they have won. Gotcha. They've won every game that they have been favored in. Okay, if you want to split hairs and say, well, Penn State was actually a favorite against Notre Dame. They were a 2.5-point underdog, and then Juice made it an even. Maybe you could find it at -1 for Penn State. If you want to make that argument, that's fine. Whatever. Okay, so Penn State lost the Orange Bowl as a 1-point favorite because of some steam going into the game, but they opened at Vegas, had them as a 2.5-point underdog early on. Anyway. Aside from that 9 overtime game against Illinois, Penn State has won every single game that they have been favored in. And then there's the idea that James Franklin is very cautious and concerned with the spread, that he cares about the spread and what the number is and what the line is, and he's going to try to cover it at all costs. So if we're going off of that, Penn State's going to be favored in every single game it plays, aside from Ohio State at this point in time. And I could see that line changing. I think right now it's 3 or 4 points, which I get. It's in Columbus. But if Penn State, again, if the line moves or if it happens to, Okay, so be it. But Penn State will be favored in 11 of 12 games, guaranteed. And I think they win at least 11, with the game being circled, Ohio State being the one that's toughest. And that's not like it's an impossible game. That's a winnable game. They can win that. It's not like they're 2 touchdown underdogs. No, they are going to be 3 or 4 point underdogs early on, and then maybe that line moves. So I think Penn State goes over this. I think they go at least 11-1 with the possibility of going undefeated by getting that finally, after a decade, win against Ohio State.
I hope for your sake that you're right, because look, if it's not going to be Michigan State winning the Big Ten and, being the flag carrier of this conference, I'm all set with Ohio State doing it. All good there. Obviously don't want Michigan to be the ones to do it. I don't want any of these new guys on the West Coast to do it. I want a dyed-in-the-wool Big Ten team to do it like yourself. So you do have an ally. And I hope I didn't come off as too much of a hater there. But, yeah, God, what a fun little schedule for such a talented team here. There's going to be a lot of must-watch Penn State games this year. That's going to make for great television for you guys, yeah. So can I recoup the losses if I do lose this under 10.5 bet with a Drew Allar Heisman future? Like, is this the way to financial freedom? Okay.
Don't take it. And I say that it's not because I can say this because I understand how college football works and the way that Penn State's offense is going to be set up. They're going to be a run-first team.
Of course. Yeah.
And when you're winning, you're going to run the football more. You didn't bring back both running backs to have Drew Allar throw the football 60 times. Okay? So with that being said, Allar's just not going to have the volume to he's going to be on efficiency and decision making. Penn State is more interested in winning a national title than, getting Drew Allar to raise the Heisman Trophy at the ceremony. So Drew Allar as a Heisman candidate, he might be a sleeper pick because if Penn State's in situations where they need to throw the football more, he can, but he's just not going to have the volume that a Joe Burrow, a Trevor Lawrence, anything like that going into this season. So do not take Drew Allar as a Heisman. Okay. As he's not a true dual threat. He's not going to care. Oh, well, he runs the football enough, so he has that. Aiden Chiles does, right? Aiden Chiles is that true dual threat. And so Allar's still one of the best quarterbacks in the country, but when we're talking about who's getting the Heisman Trophy, do not place that bet. I'd be more interested from the betting angle to place that bet on an Aiden Chiles as a true long shot, because he has that upside to just pad stats.
If you do want that true long shot odds, again, this isn't us predicting that he is going to win. Why not? Why not go for it? Just throw that penny in the wishing well and just see if it comes back out with a gold bar attached to it. Because just like you said, hey, look, for the Penn State side, you guys are much more well-rounded of an offense, 2 superstar running backs you can rely on. This is going to be the Aiden Chiles show, of course, with a great supporting cast of Nick Marsh, Omari Kelly, but yes, you are going to have to rely on his arm, which we have seen to be a plus arm. He has some throws that's like, oh my God, we're going to see that a lot of times on Sundays in the near future. And then he does follow it up the very next drive with throwing into a coverage where the Michigan State Spartan receiver is probably the 4th guy that would be catching that ball. But nevertheless, could he get that ironed out during the offseason? Are those just the growing pains that we talked about every single week last season? I think so. I thought that he showed enough progress during his first year as a full-time starter to have some hopes that he can be more of this high-ceiling guy instead of just seeing the low floor over and over again. But what really entices you as just like this stat machine, and, for a good reason too, this will also help Michigan State win games, is deploying the legs. During the last few weeks of the season, they started deploying him on more designed quarterback runs. I think they were a little timid with it to start the season. A, to preserve his health, B, build his confidence, and just, hey, make him into this little pocket passer. But those legs aren't nothing, man. Like, they are dynamic. They are a plus. And I do wonder how often they are going to deploy those early on into the season on design runs because, well, they're going to have to use them here. So, yeah, could he pile up some stats running the ball? Sure. Can he do it throwing the ball? Yeah, absolutely. He very well could. We just got to actually see it here. So I'm a believer. I'll throw $1 or $2 on FanDuel. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? So, yeah,
it's an efficient wager, and Drew Allar having much, lower odds. That it's not as worthwhile of a bet. If he had those long shot, hey, he's plus 10,000, absolutely. But somebody that's going to be closer to the top 5 of the Heisman odds that are like closer to Arch Manning, no, it's not a worthwhile wager.
Doesn't make sense. Well, Zach, before we both part ways and enjoy the rest of our weeks here, pains me to do this. Congrats on Gavin McKenna.
Oh, thank you.
Congrats.
Appreciate it.
Really
appreciate it.
That hurts to say.
Porter Martone's still out there.
Hey, not anymore. No, he is with our Spartans actually. So this is very exciting. So yeah, not a bad consolation. I think we have like 8 guys on the roster next year that have been drafted in the first 2 rounds. So it's still good shakes here, but oh god, that would have been fun. I just that one highlight of him just doing the whole pirouette 360 right into the top shelf. I had that in my bookmarks just ready to go should he have committed to Michigan State, but he'll be doing so in the Big Ten. It's not with the team I root for.
Martone.
So. Yeah, it's still fun. It's still fun.
It makes me
got a good goalie.
Season.
I know. Look at us. I hope that they just don't bury every single notable game on Big Ten Plus that you have to subscribe for $15 per month. I actually hope that these games can be on actual standard analog Big Ten network. Please try to grow your game, Big Ten. I beg you. We are begging you. So with that, guys, hey, what's up? It's Matt Sheehan over here, Locked on Spartans, over there, Zach Zako. Anything you want to drop before we just, go and just wander on our own ways here?
I mean, you did. You got to Big Ten hockey. That's what I was going to allude to as a party message. But
stole it from you.
I think all's fair here. All's fair here now that Gavin McKenna's at one place, Porter Martone's at another place. But we'll see. Those are the two favorites going into hockey next season.
There we go. Well, Zach, until next time, hey, enjoy the rest of your offseason. And guys, enjoy the rest of your offseason, whether you're a Nittany Lion fan, a Spartan fan. We will be back on both of our respective channels right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Now take care of yourselves. Love you all. We are, and go green.